So the Federal Reserve met, and we've got DJ Sutera here from Mortgage America to unpack what it all means next. You're definitely going to want to watch this one. I'm here with DJ Sutera from Mortgage America, one of our preferred lenders that we work with constantly. I see him every day. He's usually the last guy at the office with me. And what we want to talk about today is the Fed met. And there's been a lot of, what's the Fed going to do? A lot of uncertainty, a lot of kind of fear in the marketplace a little bit.
Yeah.
So the Fed met last week. They raised the federal funds rate by 25 basis points as expected.
You're right.
So DJ, what happened with rates? Let's kind of start there.
Yeah, so it actually, going off of it, differentiating from what happened last time with their announcements, they were pretty clear that there's not going to be a guaranteed rate hike going forward, right? So that was optimistic. And so we did see a slight dip in rates, but rates are always moving. So really the message is that we're seeing steady Eddie rates. It's going to be plateaued. The idea is that they want to see just what happens from keeping the rates at this level and let it ride out. They're going to go meeting by meeting with whatever data is coming in and make their decision case by case every time. But there hasn't been enough time elapsed yet to see just how things are going to react. So the plan is to keep rates where they are now and not commit to anything else.
Well, and I think that's really important news from the Fed because this was, I always look at the comments after the meeting, not necessarily what they did, because everyone predicted you were going to get a 25 basis point increase. That was expected. They have charts and tools online that put percentages on this, almost like a betting website.
Yeah.
And Federal Reserve Chairman Powell, he didn't put his foot in his mouth this time. He kind of said, hey, we're going to let this breathe. I don't see any rate decreases in the future, which was something that was being talked about for about a month and a half there. They might bring the federal funds rate down later in the year. He basically said, we're going to let this play out, which a lot of people have been calling for them to do that for a couple months now. Like, let this play out, because you're not going to see an immediate reaction every time you move up or down these rates. The economy has to play out. You got to see how consumers spend, what inflation's going to do, what that's going to do to mortgage pricing, and a lot of other things. So that was, to me, the best news, is they kind of did what everyone expected. And to your point, you said steady rates.
Yep.
This is what the market wants right now, is stability. And we've seen rates kind of bouncing around in that low 6 range up to maybe 6.5,
Yep.
down to 6 over the past 30 days or so. So what you're seeing, I think, is what consumers want. So knowing that's what the Fed's saying, you're dealing with buyers all the time. What does this mean for home buyers right now that want to transact either in the month of May, sometime over the summer, or even early fall?
It means consistency, that you can expect that when you're getting quoted rates right now, that you're probably going to end up with that rate going through your whole process, right? So because for a while there, you really didn't know that. It was kind of unexpected, where you might be a week out from going under contract and the rates spike up, and you don't know you're going under contract at that point. But this is hindsight stuff. So you're in the middle of your house search and rates go up 0.5 point. You're like, wait a minute, this is so much more than I expected when I first started. And that should not be happening moving forward here this year. So consistency, you just know what you're going to get, no surprises.
That's the good news for buyers here. I can't reiterate this enough, because there's been so much uncertainty. There's been a lot of volatility. We saw rates a couple months ago moving from 6.5 to 7 within a week, let alone stability here as we're into the months of May, June, July, when we see a lot of home purchases happen historically. So if you're a buyer that's been kind of tired of all the ups and downs, I'd argue now is the time you want to talk to a great lender like DJ, or get in touch with a local realtor so that you can understand exactly what your options look like and what's happening. You mentioned stability. I also argue you're going to see stability on the seller side, because what's the biggest complaint you're getting from buyers right now? Inventory, right? And my theory, and what I believe and a lot of other economists believe, is that you got sellers who are ready to go buy and make a move. They've got that sort of motivation there.
Yeah.
And knowing that baby boomers are the biggest part of the population that's buying right now, they surpassed millennials last year. Well, they've got 3 and 4% interest rates on their home, 65% of the time.
Yep.
And they're okay going to 6. They're worried that what happens if I sell my home and it goes to 7?
Right.
And that stability, I'm clear, is going to be really important for sellers and should bring more inventory to the market. So all the more reason for sellers to talk to someone like DJ, get an assessment of what's happening locally, as well as a local real estate agent that can show you what the inventory climate is. Yeah. So Fed meeting, it's done, it's in the books, went about as well as it could have.
I would agree.
What else should consumers be aware of right now besides the steadiness and the stability? Anything else you want to add, or is that it?
Well, I mean, just continuing off of that thought is that everything Jerome Powell is pointing to is just how rock solid the job market is right now.
Great
And
point.
I think that is why he feels so steadfast about keeping rates where they are, because he just isn't seeing any effect in that area. So he'll ride this out until they really start seeing 2% if he feels like it's the right move. 2% inflation. So really just continuing that thought, I think that's where he's getting just his confidence from what he's doing here. But any further thoughts, I don't know. I mean, that's pretty much it.
That's a great point because 2% has been the target, and right now you're coming in like right around like 5, a little less than 5 is kind of where inflation's been coming in. And that CPI data is very lagged. I mean, it doesn't even factor in rental data, which is come down a little bit, but obviously shot up, and that's a whole nother thing we could talk about for a while here. The job market, some people have characterized it as almost too good to be true right now. So because it's been so steady, and we're seeing this economic uncertainty on one side with employment being rock solid, it's a little unusual. So that's a really great point.
Yep.
And what I'm going to reiterate here, and the best advice I have is if you're thinking about transacting, get someone local who knows what's going on. Talk to someone in your market that you can get on the phone, like DJ, where they can walk you through. Here's what I'm seeing. Here's what the outlook is. And given all this information, what do you guys want to do? And that's the best way to approach this.
Yep. Yeah, just give them all the facts. Let them make their decision.
So the Fed did not put their foot in their mouth.
Nope.
I'm happy about it.
Yep.
We got DJ's information up here if you want to get in touch with them. And we'll be back next week with more, hopefully, stable news.